everybody, and welcome to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I did want to go through a little bit about the TAZARA Railway for any of those who might be thinking about taking that journey. This railway has been on my bucket list for years. I have wanted to do this trip since I was last in Zambia 10 years ago. So I definitely was a bit disappointed, though I probably shouldn't have been. I probably should have been more realistic and understood that this is a third world train, so don't expect much. It was a good experience with some very significant drawbacks, so I'll go through those with you here. First things first, booking the ticket. If you are planning on taking the TAZARA Railway, you probably would do well to phone in advance and make sure you have a reservation. I would actually go to the station and pay for your ticket early if you're able. I wasn't able just because I was in Lusaka and the train departs 3 hours north from Kapiriposhi. They took the reservation, but when I got to Kapiriposhi to buy the ticket, it didn't really seem like they had any record of the transaction on file. So I don't know if there was a mistake just in my case or if these reservations are more, you know, the Jerry Seinfeld approach. Anybody can just take them. The Kapiriposhi ticket window is so convolutedly confusing that I would give yourself a lot of extra time to get that ticket. I was told to go to one window and then I was told to go to another window and then another window and so forth, with only minutes to spare before this train was ready to depart. I booked a first class compartment. Just one bed in that compartment, and it cost 393 Zambian kwacha, which works out to around 35 US dollars. So that is for a 3-night, 2-day trip. No meals are provided or anything else. One thing to consider is that they only accept Zambian kwacha. So don't come there like I did and think that you are able to bring US dollars and that they're going to be accepted. It was actually quite difficult for me to go find somebody to exchange my US dollars for Zambian kwacha on the spot. I was able to find a person, but not without any headaches. Cleanliness. I can't speak poorly enough about the cleanliness of this train. The compartments were disgusting, so caked with dirt. I don't even think it was like dust. We're talking about the dirt from human bodies for the past who knows how many decades. The pillow that I was given was completely filthy. It was actually black, really. I'll show you a picture right here. What I ended up doing is stuffing the pillow underneath some relatively cleaner sheets and at least prop my head up at night. But the cleanliness inside of those compartments is completely disgusting. Use wet wipes and scrub it down if you're going to be staying in there for any long period of time. Bring your own bedding if possible. There was cockroaches in the compartment as well. I didn't see any, but the Korean guys that I was staying with did kill a few. I really disdained my entire experience in that compartment. The public areas, I suppose, the corridors, the bathrooms, they were kept in decent shape by the staff on board. So there was a lady that came around cleaning the bathrooms and so forth just to make sure that they're in tidy and in order for the next guest. That said, I mean, it was probably the minimal amount to bring it up to acceptable standard, but that said, it's better than nothing. My most pleasant experiences on that train were in the dining compartment where, you know, I was just enjoying a beer or a coffee and spending time on my laptop and looking at the scenery go by. If that makes sense, stay as much outside of the compartment as possible, and I think you have a good chance of enjoying that trip. The staff were actually quite rude. I found that it took a long time for any of the staff to warm up to, especially foreigners. It seemed that we were considered to be more of an annoyance than a guest, so just keep that in mind if you're planning on taking the train. It is definitely not the most welcoming place. The bathrooms were surprisingly clean for what they've been through. I tried as hard as possible to not use the washroom while on the train just because it is so disgusting. They are squat toilets, so bring your own toilet paper and things like that. I cannot imagine what goes on in there. Let's just put it that way. Generally speaking, the dinners were actually quite good. For what I saw some fried fish, there was chicken, there was beef. I opted to have the beef one night and I was actually quite surprised at how good it was. Don't let the food scare you away. It is reasonably priced, hot, served fresh, and cooked fresh. So you can't really expect much more than that on a train across the African countryside. I could have done without the breakfast spaghetti. It seemed to be variable pricing based on who you are. So for example, a Korean friend of mine buys full breakfast with spaghetti, toast, eggs, and a wiener, which cost him 3,500 Tanzanian shillings. I ordered 3 fried eggs and I was charged 4,000 shillings for way less food than he received. So there's not really any cut and dry prices on this train, I don't believe. It is whatever they want you to pay. That said, we're dealing with pennies here really in the grand scheme, so I wasn't too worried about the pricing. For a cup of hot water, they were charging about 50 US cents, 5 Zambian kwacha. I think it was 1,000 Tanzanian shillings. If you are purchasing anything on board, they stop accepting Zambian kwacha at the Tanzanian border and vice versa. So if you have any kwacha, there are money changers that come on board to take your money and give you the Tanzanian shillings and vice versa. So don't be afraid if you do have any money left over. You're given a pretty horrible rate, but again, it's only a matter of a few bucks that you're losing at the end of the day. Much better than carrying currency that you'll never have a chance to exchange outside of that country. There was also SIM cards available at the border, which was a great deal. They were already activated. They cost about $2 US. The top-ups were a standard top-up price. But it was great because those SIM cards were already activated, so I didn't have to waste the time to go to downtown Dar es Salaam and try to arrange an activation with my passport or whatever else. So they were activated under someone else's name, I'm sure, but whatever. If you're only in the country a week, go with it. In the middle of the night, there was a bunch of people that were trying to fight to come on the train without a ticket. So at some point along the line, there was this mass crowd of, I would say, good 50 to 100 people pushing their way onto the train to try to get a free ride to Dar es Salaam. The train staff didn't really have any way to stop this, and they were trying to clamber into people's compartments. We locked our door pretty quickly, which staved off any potential issues. But just know it is a sketchy train. I mean, during the day it's great, but at night it seemed like that train was coming undone. So I would say, as grueling as it is, stay inside of your compartment during the evening hours. Make sure it's locked as well, because there is a problem with theft and pickpocketing and things like that on the train. So just be careful. In terms of scenery though, this is where it really depends on how lucky you are in terms of departures and arrivals. If you were lucky enough to actually maintain schedule, your train journey should bring you through the Selous Game Reserve Park in eastern Tanzania, where you'll see plenty of game and wildlife. We didn't, however, because our train was late and it passed through over the evening hours. The train made regular stops for no apparent reason, especially in the middle of the night where it would stay still for hours. I don't know if they were just catching up on rest, but it did make for a more extended delay than otherwise would have been the case. All in all, this train was delayed by 16 hours. So that just shows, do not give much credence to schedules that you'll find on websites like Seat 61 and other travel forums. If I had to give it a star rating, I'm going to say it's about 3 out of 5, and that's based on everything that I can take into consideration. I couldn't expect much to begin with, but there are some definite pros and definite cons to this train. I do think that the sights that I did see out the window, the ease of traveling between Zambia and Tanzania, the quality of the food, cheap beer, a lot of space to move around, does give it 3 stars. It could have been worse for sure.